This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
They're now also going to sign Todd Gurley, and watch. It's going to be Bell, Freeman, and Gurley. It is going to be the 2017 running back all-stars.
Nick Morgasen.
Social media is the endless garbage dump of the entire world, where literally you go on, it's a bunch of Twitter accounts with eggs, because these people hide behind these egg photos. They would never go up to these athletes on the street and say, "You blanking suck."
And Nick Fodera.
I don't want to say they're conjoined at the hip, but you've never seen them in separate places without at least referring to each other. They have some kind of psychic link.
Empty the Bench starts now.
It was Tom Brady wearing the pants the entire time. He was the dominant one.
Albano here along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, quite a bit we have to go through today. I'm not a very happy man after Thursday night. The Giants are 0-2. The Jets are most likely going to be following suit. And New York sports is just once again a very big load of crap.
Just look like for more, but it's the only way to be sure.
Let me double check the Jets game. Yeah, they're definitely going 0-2.
Are you surprised by this? I said this in the minute earlier this morning that New York football is over. It's finished. It's done. Can we just be done? You know what? I'll make it even better. You know what? I'll signal that the New York football is over.
We didn't even get to 2 minutes in this broadcast, and you've already had to bring that out.
It's over. Come on. And you know what? I was telling the guys before we got on here, how do you lose a freaking game jumping off sides with the center?
Because there's a lot of morons in the world, and apparently they're coaching football teams now. Oh God!
All right, but before we get to any anger issues with the NFL, let's get to anger issues with the NBA. That's how we're gonna start. Hey, Mr. NBA, please elaborate more on this. Our top story of the week. So it seems like players will. Now, there's conditions to this. If you are in a state where it's mandatory to have a vaccine to enter the arena, i.e. the Barclays Center, MSG, the Golden State Arena, you're going to have to be vaccinated. But in all the other NBA arenas, the players don't have to be, but the staff is. Is that correct?
Apparently it is, and you know what? Good job, Adam Silver. Good job. You made rules where there could be both sides, whether you could get a vaccine or not. You know what? We should cheer. We should cheer for Adam Silver because Adam Silver is totally not doing his job right.
I mean, how is that different from any other day?
I mean, it's a big... What are we doing here?
I mean, this is exactly what I've been pounding on this point for months. Where every North American sports vaccine policy is always half measures stacked up on top of more half measures, and that's no way to end the pandemic.
Now, just thinking about like all the staff, the players, and such. So we were just saying before, because we'll get to MLB, who has a similar situation. When you talk about like training staff, like the athletic trainers, the physical specialists, for them, it makes sense. You need to be vaccinated. You should be vaccinated if you're going to be treating, if you're kind of in a doctor or physician role where basically you are treating these players, their injuries, all their energy.
Their aches and pains.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. So it makes sense. But I mean, if a player ends up being, if they end up going out somewhere before a playoff game, they somehow get it, and then all of a sudden they're on the court, and the positive test is not. What if the positive test is not known until the day after the game?
You know what?
Or during the game,
or during the game.
Turner.
Wait, you mean like the Red Sox or like the Dodgers? You know what? I'm going to create a new term. We Justin Turnered these athletes, okay? Because that's what we're doing here. We're taking tests too close to the game. Is this going to happen now in the NBA where we're taking tests too close to the game and we're going to see players getting whisked off the field or court because they're not told what their COVID result is?
Well, I was going to ask, are these players, in terms of the major four sports leagues, well, at least here focused in the NBA, are they still doing rapid tests?
I don't know what
they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing at this point. Right now, they're listening to LeBron James because they're saying, well, we're not going to tell you whether we're going to get the COVID vaccine or not because I'm the all-powerful, mighty God, and I'm not going to say what I do. So if we're going to follow the LeBron James method of doing things, we're just not going to get the vaccine, and we're going to tell people we're not going to get it either.
Again, this is half measures stacked up on top of more half measures. Because this is going to come to a head. Which
is kind of a shame. Because when you think about it, think about the NBA, guys. Over the last few seasons, like when we were first getting into podcasting, that basically the NBA was the league on the rise. It looked like maybe one day, with all the NFL's controversy, maybe it would overtake the NFL in terms of popularity here in America. We talk about the influence that LeBron James has on the youth. We talk about how the influence LeBron James has, especially on the youth of minorities. And now all of a sudden, we talked about this issue already with how LeBron, could be the figurehead. If LeBron comes out and says something nice, great about the vaccine, it doesn't even have to be about LeBron. It could be Kevin Durant. It could be Giannis. Maybe more people will say, okay, you know what? I'm going to get the vaccine because I'm going to do what's right. But because the NBA and the players don't do that, and now here Adam Silver is saying, you know what? I don't give a shit. How do you expect people to give a shit?
You'll never hear me say this again, but there is power behind endorsements.
Exactly.
Hey, LeBron, what do you think about the vaccine?
Get the out of here.
I mean, that's what he's thinking right now. I mean, I don't know what else to say. And you know what? We were talking about when we started almost 5 years ago with this podcast in different iteration. And we talked about how the NBA was the top league. This is what I think of the NBA now.
And the screwed up part about it is that could still come to pass, even after all the damage that COVID has done.
We're flushing the NBA down the drain because you have morons like LeBron James who are going to do whatever the fuck, they want.
Well, it doesn't even just have to be LeBron James. I just said it could be any player. All it takes is one endorsement. All it takes is
one person.
It
doesn't have to be LeBron.
No, it is LeBron. LeBron started this movement where he's going to say, I don't want the vaccine. So what do you think all the rest of the players in the NBA are going to do?
Somebody could stand up. Somebody could stand up and say differently.
Your a freshly minted champion and MVP. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He could say something. Kevin Durant could say something. Like Tom just said, the league does not turn upon the axis of LeBron James as much as it used to, and as much as you think it does, Nick.
But the problem is this incident reminds me of everything that happened with LeBron James in China when we had that whole incident and it caused the NBA
That's different, though. That's different. This is a
public
health crisis.
Right, but I'm saying it's as bad as that situation.
But again, somebody could step up and say, no, you're wrong. Somebody, like, if we're talking about how LeBron James, now I kind of think LeBron James still has some power, but with how LeBron James, is basically more focused on, I guess, his outside ventures, how the Lakers aren't exactly the powerful force that's considered a first round elimination. If somebody like a Giannis or a Kevin Durant stand up and say, no, I disagree, then there you go. Then you have a little more of a turning point in people, and then somebody's sticking up for the other opinion in the NBA.
I agree with you. All I was just trying to say is that LeBron...
And all of this could have been circumvented if Adam Silver had just put his foot down and said players need to be vaccinated.
I've said this for a while. What are the leagues that most businesses aren't? They're private entities. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Now you have the NFL, who isn't exactly mandating the vaccine, but remember, they have all these restrictions on the on the unvaccinated players. So Roger Goodell is basically saying, if you don't get the vaccine, I am going to make your life a living hell.
Well,
Adam Silver has that same power. Rob Manfred has that same power. NHL Gary Bettman has that same power. It's up to the commissioners to flex their muscles a bit.
Yeah, and this is going to sound really funny coming out of my mouth because usually I'm against a lot of what the commissioners. Roger Goodell is the only one who's had balls to come out and actually threaten a punishment of all the commissioners.
Yeah, because everyone else has made an issue, has made this issue political, and it should not be political.
Roger Goodell is the only one who's actually saying, "Oh shit, my bottom line's being affected. I need to do something."
They gotta say, because the NFL, you're right, private entity, they could do it, but I guess they're going along the lines of the national laws of that. Technically, a mandate can't be in, but he's saying again, if you don't get it, guess what? Well, then you have this restriction, like you can't leave the hotel, you can't be in these restricted areas, you can't eat with your teammates and stuff. And it's like, isn't it just easier to get the vaccine?
Yes.
And by the way, like we had talked about, so the Knicks, the Nets, and the Warriors, because of their mandates, which is normal, which is what we should have as mandates, meaning they have to get it. What about the other situations around the country and the NBA? It should all be the same. It should be all or nothing.
But now we don't know what players are vaccinated or what not. So it's like, like if LeBron takes the court, if it's a Lakers-Knicks game and LeBron takes the court, or if anybody on the Knicks decide to take the court for a game against whoever, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, how do we know who is and who isn't?
Well, it's only for home games. So for Knicks home games, for Nets home games, for Warriors home games, those players playing for that home team, if they're not vaccinated, they can't even come in the arena.
But again, you're protecting your biggest markets. But what about everybody else?
No. That wasn't an NBA mandate. Those were government
mandates.
Those are, yeah, you're right. Those are state mandates.
But I'm saying,
but again, if say a LeBron or somebody takes the court, because it only applies to the home teams, but if they're COVID positive, that still can affect. That can still affect.
Of course it is. Anyone who's COVID positive, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a business person, being COVID positive affects everybody that's around that area. But you need to make it for everybody. If the Knicks, the Nets, and the Warriors have to follow the mandate, then just make it a mandate for everybody. Just stop this nonsense. Stop this political money-playing power.
And as mentioned, just coming over in the last 24 hours or so, MLB has made a very similar mandate in which non-playing personnel must be vaccinated for the playoffs. However, players are not going to be mandated, which means the managers have to be vaccinated, the coaches have to be vaccinated, the trainers have to be vaccinated in order to get to certain areas on the field. So if let's say an injury happens on the field, you know how the trainers usually rush out? If the trainer is not vaccinated, well, sorry, we're going to have to send somebody else on the training staff out.
Nick, tell us what you said earlier about this, because you were telling us about what you thought about this.
Because this is absolutely asinine. This is exactly what I said before, where this is half measures upon half measures, because it is, again, no disrespect to the non-playing personnel, because they're the one. But who is it that the players that the fans pack the stadiums to see? The players. That's who they care about. That's who you should be protecting, and you're not doing that.
Yeah, but the problem with this, again, you're going to vaccinate the people who are not even on the field. How
you're going to leave it a personal choice? You're going to leave it to be a personal choice for players to be vaccinated?
And you want my real honest opinion? If you're going to leave it up to any of the leagues for the athletes to have a choice, I guarantee you that at least half of the league is going to say no.
And I can bet you dollars to donuts. In fact, I can almost guarantee it, that there are players who have not taken the vaccine that said they have.
Well, be careful with that statement, but I agree with you.
I'm not naming names. I'm just saying I have a feeling that there are players who have used the shield of, we're 85% vaccinated, 85% fully vaccinated, so I don't have to get mine.
I mean,
because everybody else is.
That makes perfect sense, by the way, now that you explained it, that they're going to say, oh, we fall into the higher percentage, so we don't have to tell you whether
So
we got
nobody's
it or
going to
not.
be spreading it. So why would I have to get mine? Does that make sense?
It does. I just, in my opinion, I think LeBron hasn't gotten it. That's my, and you know what?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about LeBron James.
No, but I'm talking about the big names.
Bursting through every topic like the Kool-Aid, man.
No. I'm talking about the big names in every sport. So I'm going to say LeBron probably hasn't gotten it. Who? Pick a name in Major League Baseball. Who do you think? What big name probably hasn't gotten it?
Bryce
I don't
Harper.
know.
I can tell you right now. I guarantee you, a lot of people in Major League Baseball, the big stars, haven't gotten it.
Unless they've said they got it, you really don't. You really don't know. You really can't tell.
And what bothers me is, I'd love to, and I know it's never going to happen. I'd love to talk to a Rob Manfred and grill him to death and say, you have no idea how to run your league, whether it comes to COVID, or how about that your CBA negotiations are up December 1st and you have a COVID problem that you can't get under control.
Part of those CBA negotiations. Don't you worry, it will be. It's a sure thing at this point because it's going. Look, we've had our criticisms of Rob Manfred, and they are numerous, but there was one thing that you absolutely could not screw up by any single measure. And you know what he did? Not only did he tiptoe around the problem, he mamboed around the problem, and then he set it on fire and came back and peed on the ashes. That's the problem. He screwed up the one thing he shouldn't have. Is my point.
I mean, that's pretty strong, but I happen to agree with Nick. Rob Manfred is basically doing like the Hawaiian hula, dancing around.
He's fence sitting.
Guys, I can't wait come March, where instead of talking about spring training baseball and the upcoming baseball season, we're going to be talking about who the best player of MLB The Show is on Twitch.
Or no, instead of the Major League Baseball season, they're going to be playing MLB The Show in place, and MLB is going to have it all over their social media accounts.
We're just going to be doing Twitch streams of us watching old baseball games from 1923.
And
No, if it was 1923, we'd be listening to the radio broadcast.
Man, that Ty Cobb really can hit.
I mean, I'm telling you right now,
racism, though.
and Major League Baseball is going to make an excuse, and all we're going to hear is this.
You know, if MLB does go on strike or has a lockout or whatever, maybe we should do our own MLB simulations of games.
We should. I'd have so much fun doing that too.
Yeah, I mean, we all have it, so we can do that.
All right, moving on. We have one more. Even though there was a little side note of the MLB, we have one more little headline from the NBA. Kind of actually a happy one, a good one. So Lisa Byngton, the reporter, is going to be the first full-time female announcer in the NBA, not just in the NBA, but just men's sports, period.
I mean, it's about damn time.
Yeah, I mean, because the Yankees have had Susan Waldman for the better part of 20 years, right?
Well, she did TV. She was actually the original reporter.
TV. But tell me, why did it take this long for this to happen?
Well, what's interesting about this situation, I think they had somebody who was doing it for like 40-something years, I think, who retired. And then I think they just want to go a different direction. And I think this is a good choice. I think this will lead. This is like coaches. See Becky Hammon, who's on the bench for the Spurs.
It's only a matter of time before somebody finally says yes to her being a head coach.
I'm tired of this whole sexist situation when it comes to that male dominant, female can't do anything. It's wrong. It's flat out wrong.
You're thinking with your penises. That's the problem.
Do you guys remember the example that I have talked about time and time again? That if I am trapped in a burning building, it's fire is everywhere. I don't care what the gender or the race or whatever of that firefighter, as long as they have the skill to get me out of that fire. That is what I care about. And if Lisa Byington has the skills to be an excellent announcer for an NBA team, guess what? She deserves it.
You know who broke that barrier? Doris Burke. Doris Burke was the one
who is absolutely legendary.
And you know what? If it wasn't for her, we probably wouldn't see Lisa Byngton or any other, or even sideline reporters, because that's where she started. I mean, we've seen a lot of female sideline reporters, some of the good ones in the business, Lisa Salters being one of them. And what's her name? Who just left? Well, yes, Meredith, but who just left for NBC? That just had the controversy.
Maria Taylor.
Maria Taylor. Like, those are some of the best in the business.
Carrie Champion's done it a couple times.
Yeah.
I can't believe I have to move on to this. I don't want to press it. I don't want to press it.
Here, wait.
I don't want to press it.
I'm ready. Just go. I'm ready.
Oh, God. Look, I know it's going to cause him physical pain. I know it's going to cause Tom physical pain. But, Nick, could you walk me through this? Because I have no idea what the hell happened. I'm just laughing at the mental image of it.
Okay, so I see this story come out. I posted to our social media account as Tom is dying in pain over there.
I think we broke Tom.
So basically what happens is Conor McGregor is at the red carpet of the VMAs.
I've been broken long before this story.
And basically he's on the red carpet. By the way, mind you, he still has the fractured or broken tibia.
Walking boot or whatever it is.
But he had the tibia injury. So
yeah.
He's walking around, and for some reason, all of a sudden, if you watch the camera angle, he throws a drink into the crowd. Like, and these are not normal people. They're other celebrities and other people who are on the red carpet. But it happens to be Machine Gun Kelly who he's throwing the drink at.
So supposedly Machine Gun Kelly wanted a picture with Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor was like, no, get the fuck out of here.
No, you know what? This is what happened. That's what happened. And then a fight broke out, and all of a sudden you see security running over to break this fight up. And I think Conor, I posted the clip on our Twitter account at ETV Sports, where he's basically saying who's Machine Gun Kelly, and he's basically dating Megan Kelly. That's all he knows her. Megan Fox.
Who the fuck is that guy? That's basically what Conor is saying. Telling them, who the fuck is that guy? Well, honestly,
who is that guy?
Well, honestly, Conor McGregor is going in the direction of who the fuck is him? Who the fuck is he?
I feel like Conor just is looking to start fights with people randomly.
Guys, have I not said it before on this show? He is this generation's Mike Tyson, in which he was once the biggest fighting star of his time, and he is just going on an absolute downward spiral.
This is all work. I am telling you, this is all a work. Because, look, not to mention the fact that he probably gets off on this, but I'm telling you, look, if you think that Dana White actually cares about doling out any kind of punitive measures, no. Are you kidding me? Again, it puts eyeballs on the UFC, which is money in Dana's pocket, and Dana likey money in pocket.
Wait a minute.
And yet, Nick, remember how we had the little discussion of after the last Conor fight that I'm not sure if Dana wants another big star. Like, we were talking about how basically Conor is kind of bigger than the UFC. I don't know if Dana wants anybody on Conor's level again, because the UFC can control them then. Well, I think we're at a point where Conor's too big of a beast for the UFC to be controlled. So you're going to have shit like this happen.
By the way, Nick, you were saying that Dana White's getting off. I think I hear him in the distance. I think he's getting off on it. By the way,
I would prefer Ric Flair. If it was Ric Flair doing all this stuff, at least he'd have some goddamn panache.
And by the way, I was doing a stream with According to Woods. Actually, I was doing my own individual stream with According to Woods the other night when I couldn't sleep. And and we spoke about UFC and Conor, and he actually told me a good story. And we're starting a new podcast, Writer in the Woods, coming first week of October, where he was telling me that Conor was looking to get ownership in the UFC, and it was like a very aggressive act, and Dana turned it away, and it was like a whole thing.
Actually, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, he was in negotiations where he wanted a stake of ownership in the UFC.
But you knew that wasn't going to happen. Come on, it's Dana in the UFC.
But again, that's my point, is that, maybe Dana, if he was ever able to use like this as like promotional stuff for a Conor fight, he wouldn't turn it away. But I think he's also realized that when you have a star as big as like Conor is now, and he's on this downward spiral, how hard it is to control. And it's like Dana will want control. Look at what's going on in the heavyweight title picture after Francis Ngannou. He wasn't able to make the schedule, find the interim champ. They constantly, talked him down and put an interim belt on, and they pretended like this guy is the real champion for a moment until Francis is ready to fight. For Dana, ultimately, it's the ability to control and make money. Both of those combined.
Can we say one thing? Can we say one thing that, and I've said this quite a bit, and I think you both would agree with me. After the Mayweather fight, he just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's no point to it anymore because
You want 100?
I think he's done everything everything he wanted to do.
He got $100 million check. $100 million check. You think he cares?
No,
he doesn't. No, he doesn't care. And Danny doesn't care either because he's making money off the downward spiral, and he'll make money off the if there's an upward trend. He'll make money off the redemption. Conor McGregor returns.
I mean, that's
It's going to be a UFC event.
I mean, what's next? Are we going to see another sponsor of Proper 12 on one of his next fights? I mean, like,
of course we will.
Actually, you know what? Instead of Proper 12, we're going to have Proper 24. That's the next product coming out.
Why don't we just have a steel cage match? Two douchebags enter. One douchebag leaves. Give it to Vince McMahon. He'll do it.
Wait a minute. Can we get McGregor Mayweather 2 just for the heck of it?
No. I think we have a better shot of McGregor Dana White than McGregor Mayweather 2.
Wait, I think I said to Woods also, I would love to see McMahon and Dana White work on an event together. It would be the biggest event of all time.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
The camera operators would be like, I don't know who to focus on first.
I can see it in lights now. UFC versus WWE.
Vince McMahon versus Dana White in a street fight.
Yes! That's right!
No broken bottles, no eye gouging, no nut kicking. Everything else is fair.
It's fair game!
All right, we have to move on to the NFL and its own COVID situation. So we have our first outbreak of the NFL season. The New Orleans Saints have a COVID outbreak, 6 positive cases at least, or is that upgraded to 8 now?
It's 8 total. Well, I think it was 8 total, and Michael Thomas happened to be one of them. But he was out injured anyway, wasn't he?
Yes. So
Yes, he was.
Michael Thomas is actually out with an injury anyway. He was out. I'm not sure if the correct term is the PUP, but he was basically not going to be playing until November.
Yeah, he was out like 8 weeks to begin with. So he wasn't back till the second half of the season anyway. But are we surprised by this? Are we really, really surprised about this with the way the rules are?
Again,
Well, thankfully,
this is the punchline to the setup before. Half measures upon half measures. This is the punchline,
but
and that's the setup.
Thankfully, it seems like it's not affecting anybody of real concern so far.
I mean, true, but and then you're also dealing with a situation where the Saints are misplaced right now also.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, we got to be thankful that so far it isn't as big as, say, remember last season's disasters with like this person's positive, the game is in jeopardy. Let's be thankful we're not at that level yet, but that is the key word, yet, because this is basically a warning sign that it could get worse.
Wait,
Yes,
so you
it could indeed get worse, and will they take the necessary measures in order to prevent something like this from happening again? I'm gonna go with no.
So you're saying there's a chance for misery at this point again?
There's always a chance for misery. It's the NFL.
Hey, look at the Giants. Look at New York football. This is misery. This is the capital of misery.
Yeah. Come and suck with us. We have AA meetings on Wednesdays.
All right. We have a few, before we get into our NFL picks for the week, we have a few stories, just, quick headlines to tap into. So first of all, sticking with the NFL, Urban Meyer. So we heard a report, right before the season that apparently Urban Meyer is already losing the locker room. The Jaguars kind of looked pretty pathetic against the Texans and Tyrod Taylor. And there was a rumor that, Urban Meyer, apparently this college, USC, it might be interested in him. And Urban Meyer is saying, no way I leave the Jags for for college. You know what? One way or another, Urban Meyer is probably going to end up back in college. I mean, look at Nick Saban, look at Chip Kelly. Their careers in the NFL kind of failed, and now they're back in the college football world.
Paging Jim Harbaugh.
Why you always lying? Oh my God!
What we need.
Stop fucking lying.
Who were you paging, Nick?
What we need is one of these the SpongeBob title cards. 2 and 15 seasons later.
2.5 seasons later.
No, but I'm serious. Who the fuck are you lying to? That you're telling me that you don't want to go to USC? Come on.
Knows it. They know it, and the Jags know it.
And actually, I'm gonna do you one better, Nick. He isn't even gonna make a third season. He isn't. If Joe Judge, if we're already talking about Joe Judge being fired at the end of his second season, there's no way Urban Meyer makes it to a third NFL season. No freaking way.
But liar, huge liar to say he's not interested in the U.S.
I was gonna say now if we're talking about just leaving for the money, I mean if USC offers a nice chunk of change to Urban Meyer, I mean Urban Meyer paging you, the money is calling.
And by the way, it's not in cryptocurrency like Trevor Lawrence got in his endorsement deal.
It's JagCoin.
It's Buttcoin.
It's Trojan coin. USC, it's Trojan coin.
Oh, God.
Wait. Not that Trojan. Not that. You two have some dirty minds.
What are you new here?
Oh,
okay.
man.
Ryan Braun, after 14 seasons, is retiring from Major League Baseball.
I have one response for this.
Quite arguably stole the MVP from Matt Kemp in 2011 after testing or was it 2013? Actually, no, 2011. After
it was
testing
2011. He almost stole the MVP and he almost stole somebody's job in a lab.
Yes, he did. And before all that happened, he was a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. But it's hard to say that this has not tarnished his legacy.
Honestly, I haven't even heard the name Ryan Braun in years. That's how irrelevant he is to me.
Actually, the only way he's relevant to me is this.
FBI, open up!
That's the only way he's relevant to me at this point.
The Seattle Mariners, T-Mobile Park, is going to be hosting the 2023 All-Star Game. Swing and a missed opportunity by Major League Baseball.
Now, what Tom is referring to is the 2023 would mark the 100th anniversary of the existence of Yankee Stadium. But I'm not that. Yeah, go ahead.
And the 100th anniversary of the Yankees' first World Series. Of course, the Yankees had the most championships in all of professional sports here in America.
I mean,
indeed.
What are you doing?
But the thing is, I'm not that upset about it, to be honest with you. I like T-Mobile Park. I mean, my brother's been there. He says it's absolutely beautiful.
I mean, I kind of get the point because, T-Mobile Park was originally Safeco. Yeah, has Safeco ever, or in this case, T-Mobile ever hosted an All-Star Game before?
Yes. Yeah, they have.
Was it in the early 2000s?
It was
2001?
It was early 2000s, yeah. I can look it up.
Yeah, back when they had A-Rod and Edgar Martinez, and oh my God, that lineup was stacked.
Probably one of the biggest, missed opportunities to get a championship for any sports team. That late 90s, early 2000s Mariners, that's such a waste.
Yeah, really. I mean,
thank Derek Jeter for that.
2001, you were right.
2001. Okay. So, moving on now, before we get to our picks for the week, just some injury news. So, Raheem Mostert already out for the season. Good freaking going.
That's second straight season in a row, by the way.
I have one fantasy team where I've lost Mostert and Gus Edwards.
Wow.
Joe McCoy is out 6 to 8 weeks. Jerry Jeudy is out 6 to 8 weeks. And the injuries are already beginning to pile up in the NFL.
You can add one more. Jacobs, the running back for the Raiders, is out.
Oh, Josh Jacobs is out this week. Yep.
So if it wasn't bad enough that the Raiders pulled off an amazing victory on Monday Night Football, now they're going on injury. And actually, Mariota's out too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, he's playing behind Derek Carr.
He had
playing behind Derek Carr. So
wait a minute. He had more fantasy points than Aaron Rodgers last week.
That's sad.
technically, yeah.
That is a sad, sad thought. You know what's not a sad thought, though, guys? It's time for the rapid rundown.
Yeah!
All right, we begin in Jacksonville. The Denver Broncos, who is part of the bane of the New York Giants' existence right now, are traveling to Jacksonville to take on the previously mentioned Jaguars. The Broncos are 5.5-point favorites.
Okay, so now that the Broncos are not playing the Giants, I can say safely that I'm a huge Teddy Bridgewater guy. I do love Teddy Bridgewater, and I do think that Teddy is going to go 2-0.
I mean, with how maybe we're discrediting Tyrod Taylor a little bit, but I mean, when you are giving up 5 touchdowns to a Texans team that was thought to have done nothing, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence played okay, but I've said before, like his receiving core, like DJ Chark and company, I don't buy into them. And the sad part is Urban Meyer is just going to constantly pass the ball, which means you're not giving James Robinson enough opportunity. The point I'm making is that the Broncos are going to go 2-0, and the Jaguars are going to enter. They're going to continue their state of misery, even with their new star quarterback.
By the way, you got embarrassed by Tyrod Taylor in week 1 when the Texans are the abomination of the NFL.
So
you're telling me that I should believe in the Jaguars again? Absolutely not. Broncos take the line and over it.
I agree. We now travel to Miami for an AFC East divisional matchup between the Bills and the Dolphins. This should be pretty fun. Bills a 3.5-point favorite. And you know what? Even though they lost last week, they still looked great. Josh Allen still looked great, and he's going to have an even better game against the Dolphins. I'm taking the Bills and taking the line.
I mean, I think the Bills are going to come out and play angry after losing last week to a lazy Pittsburgh Steelers team, usually, which came out and played well. So the Bills are going to win, and they're going to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills, too.
Speaking of the Texans, we previously mentioned before, going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Is that right? -13?
That's
okay.
correct.
Here's my thing. I think that line is way too high. I'm going to give the Texans some credit and Tyrod Taylor some credit, and that they played well last week. However, the Browns held their own against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are many expect to win another AFC championship. And when you play as well as Baker and company did last week, you got to give them the credit there. They are still a top dog in the AFC, I believe. So you know what? I'm not going to take the line. But I am going to take the Browns.
Yeah,
I will, too.
That line is historically lines that are double digit don't usually come through. That's just statistically in Vegas. And the only reason the line is so big is because the Texans are the worst team. So people are going to bet the Browns, obviously, because that's the way you're going to go. They're going to win, but that line is historically too big.
Yeah, massively too big. We have the Bengals taking on the Bears. The Bears a 2.5-point favorite. Now, I've said it before and I say it again. If Justin Fields was quarterbacking, maybe I would buy into the Bears. But Andy Dalton...
That's the only reason why I think the line is in favor of the Bears. Because they think that he's going to play.
And I don't think so. I think Matt Nagy and Andy Dalton are too into themselves. You have a young team. Like, I've said it before, that if the Bengals and Burrow stay healthy, the Bengals are an underrated team to watch. And you know what? I'm calling upset city. Bengals are taking this one.
What do you got, Nick?
I'm going to go. I have to go with the Bengals. I can't go with the Bears. Andy Dalton? Come on.
I mean, I was surprised by the performance last week, to be quite honest. I'm going to go Bengals. Because the Bears are a giant question mark. Like, if you look up in the sky right now, all you're going to see is a question mark. Because Andy Dalton, like, seriously, I don't care if it's his former team or not. I'm not going to win.
I'm taking the young, healthy team.
Yeah.
Moving on to the 49ers and the Eagles. So the Eagles might have gotten the win, but I think the 49ers, even with that scare against the Lions, how the Lions started to come back, I think for that one, you just got to credit where credit's due. Jared Goff, he gave it such a strong effort as coming down. Like, I got to give more credit to Jared Goff than on then criticize the 49ers defense collapsing. And then now the 49ers move from that to a team like the Eagles. It's one joke to another. I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the line.
This is a clear pick'em game, so you can pretty much go any way according to the line, but the Niners are the better team in this situation. So the Eagles kind of scared, even though they won and they blew out the Eagles. Who did they blow out? They blew out the Falcons. The Falcons are terrible. Just admit it now.
And I give credit to Jalen Hurts. I think he will have a good game, but I think his defense is going to let him down.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Niners, but I think it's a barely cover. I think
I can buy.
I'm going to go with the Niners as well.
Divisional matchup: Saints and Panthers. Saints at 3.5 favorites. I was worried about how they would play with Jameis Winston at the helmet. Man, the Saints look like they didn't lose a step.
All right, we got to put a disclaimer on week 1, though, because Aaron Rodgers and the Packers came out and completely shit the bed.
Oh, absolutely. But as much as that, they moved from the Packers to the Panthers. Now I give credit to the Panthers and how good they look, but they were playing the Jets. So the Saints are the safer bet. That line is not bad. I think it's going to be a barely cover, but I'm going to take the Saints on the line.
I'm going to say the rarity. We never say this before. I think this is the rare double trap game where you played 2 opponents that were incredibly easy. Now you're playing 2 opponents that are actually at your level.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it a double trap game, because literally now you're playing someone at your level, but you thought you played so well. Jameis Winston thinks he played so well. What did they score? 38 points against the Packers? I mean,
I am worried his turnovers are gonna make an appearance here.
Kyle McCaffrey had a good game last week.
He did.
Sam Darnold, I think that was a fluke because it was against the Jets.
Well, here's the test now. Here's the test.
I think the Saints win, but I think it's going to be closer than the score indicates. But I do think they cover in some fashion.
If I had to be honest with you, I think I'd have to take the Panthers, because I do think that Christian McCaffrey's going to make the difference.
Do you think Jameis, his famous turnovers are going to make an appearance here?
Hang on, let me check my notes. Yes.
I mean, I hate to say this, but he had a softball in week 1, which he shouldn't have had.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. Couldn't, would have, should have, but no. All right. Rams, Colts. This is a J-O-K-E joke. The Rams looked even better with Matthew Stafford leading the helm.
By the way, speaking of joke, announced on, which was it, Thursday night football. They are the new HBO Hard Knocks in season.
Oh, the Colts.
The Colts are.
I mean, like I said, like you quoted me saying on Twitter, I already have to watch one team suck in real time. Why do I have to watch the Colts do it? But you know what? What's insulting is the line is only 3.5.
In my opinion, this should be at least 7 or 8. At least.
I was gonna say this is a Bettor's Paradise game. Bettor's Paradise game right here. Rams, take that line.
Take the money.
I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah.
We go to a matchup in Pittsburgh. It's the Raiders and the Steelers.
And we already said Jacobs, the running back, is out,
which is going to be big trouble. Now, actually, the Raiders played very well. Darren Waller beasted out. I'm just concerned that maybe, if he beasts out too much, he could get hurt here. The Steelers, I don't know. I mean, they played really well against the Bills, but is this another case of they're going to get into their own heads and end up losing to Gruden and his sock puppets? I don't know.
The problem here is, like you said, it's Derek Carr to Darren Waller, and that's it. There's really, now that
there wasn't any Henry Ruggs, Jacobs is out.
The running game is atrocious in Vegas, and usually Vegas is a gambler's paradise. I wouldn't gamble on the Raiders right now at this point.
I wouldn't gamble on this game, period.
The only reason they won week 1 is because, like you said in the intro, let's sign everybody from 2017 and stick it on the field and see if it works.
Wait, no, that's the Ravens.
Oh, is that? No, they played the Ravens.
Okay, yeah.
So, I'm just saying, the Ravens stuck everybody that they could get off the waiver wire and tried to put it on the field, and it didn't work.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll say the Steelers are going to go 2-0, but I don't think that line's covered. I don't think so.
No,
I think the Raiders are gonna. I think it's gonna be a closer game than we expect.
I think the Raiders had it too easy in week 1, and I think that now it's going to go sloping downhill along with John Gruden and his 10-year contract as a coach.
Yeah, you can't patch injuries with a sock puppet.
Right. So I think they cover.
Oh, you think they cover? I for some reason I don't think the line is. I think it's going to be closer than 6.5, but I think that's not on the Raiders. I think that's the Steelers are going to get their own heads and make it a closer game than we think.
Time will tell.
Moving on to another joke. J-O-K. J-O-K-E. Joke.
Yes.
And if you thought Mac Jones balled out week 1, he's gonna have a field day.
It's going to be P-A-R-T. Why? Because he has to.
I hate you. Get the out of here.
Why? Why do you put me through this mental insanity with this?
Because you did it to us with the Giants.
But you know what? At least the Giants have halfway decent players to play with. The Jets have none.
The Jets have some halfway decent players. Are you kidding me?
And don't tell me Zach Wilson. I'm tired of people telling me Zach Wilson is going to be the next coming of Peyton Manning.
I'll do it again. J-O-K-E. Joke. Patriots. Take the Patriots. Take that line. Take the money and run.
Take the money!
We move on. We talk about the shit show that the Falcons went through last week. Guess what? They get the Buccaneers. I think that line is going to be I think that line's going to be a little too much. I think it's only going to be a 10 points game, but
was someone drunk in Vegas when they made this line? Like, whoa.
I mean, I would have come up with that line too because the Falcons are bad.
No, but I'm saying, like, really? They think the Bucs are going to cover? That's a touchdown. What is that? 2 touchdowns?
That's 2 touchdowns. A little over 2 touchdowns.
That's a lot. That's a lot to give.
I mean, credit to yeah, they are going to win. And credit to the Buccaneers and Tom Brady and Godwin. But I mean, the defense let up quite a few points to the Cowboys, more than was thought. I think the Falcons can make it like 10 points or so. They're going to lose, but the Buccaneers are going to win this. But I question that line.
This all goes back to what we said before. Historically, double-digit spreads do not pan out.
Yeah,
they win, but they don't pan out in the spread.
Yeah,
only because 70 gajillion is not a number.
We are now into the 4:00 games. By the way, it is the Cowboys and the Chargers. The Chargers are 3.5 favorite. I'm concerned about how the Cowboys might play. I think this is a little too close for me to pick a line, but I think Herbert and company are going to win this game.
Oh,
I have to be.
This is a clear and obvious choice. Now with the injury for, I think we left that injury out. DeMarcus Lawrence also out with an injury, major injury. I think he broke his foot, and I think he's out 7-8 weeks. So this is quite obviously the easiest choice in my opinion. Take the money, and to be quite honest, I would double or triple it. I think they're going to win by that one. Because the Cowboys are a joke. They can't figure out how to win. I know they were close. Everyone's going to say, they took the overs club and they had a combined 60 points with the Bucs, but they didn't finish the game. Doesn't matter. They're going to lose.
Yeah.
Titans and the Seahawks. Seahawks are a 6.5 point favorite at home. The Titans disappointed week 1.
Yeah, Nick and I got completely blown up. Tom was right about this the whole way with the Cardinals, which, by the way, Kyler Murray, what do you have, 4 touchdowns?
Yes,
5
he
touchdowns. 2. He had 2 passing touchdowns. I think he rushed in at least 2 touchdowns.
The problem is he might have 4 touchdowns, but he's got to run 5 miles in a circle to get them.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I still have to take the Seahawks because the Titans. It's not going to get any easier from here.
Well, I think that now here's the thing. Traditionally, 0-2 teams, the historic stat that they barely make the playoffs. Barely any of them make the playoffs. But the Titans are playing in such a weak division that I still think the division is theirs to take. It's just that they're going to have to start 0-2 and work their way from there because the Seahawks, I don't even have to say it, but historically, really tough place to play. Really tough to go on the road and win in Seattle. I'm taking Seattle, taking the line.
Loudest stadium probably in all the NFL. Hey, remember, we had the 12th man for all those years when they were competing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Seahawks are going to cover. The Titans are going to be 0-2, and they're going to have to figure it out.
Moving on now to the Vikings taking on the Arizona Cardinals. I see another big day for Kyler Murray and company. I'm taking the Cardinals. I'm taking the line. Kyler Murray is going to be in the MVP race this season, the way he's going.
Kirk Cousins couldn't get out of the damn pocket last week.
Also, Chandler Jones, 5 sacks in one game.
They said he's already on pace to break the record. Already.
I hate to say it, Dad, but it's not going to end well. So I'm picking the
Cardinals by murder.
I'm going to say triple. I'm going to say triple the line. They'll beat it.
I won't say triple. Double for certain.
Take the money.
Sunday Night Football this week is going to be quite an interesting game. We got the Chiefs and the Ravens. I think it's going to be a fun matchup, but clear and obvious choice is the Chiefs.
Yes.
If they had their regular running backs, this would have been very competitive.
But they decided to time travel back to 2017.
Yeah, but you know what? The Ravens and the Raiders played a great game. I think the Chiefs and Ravens will probably do the same. It's just that the Ravens are still going to lose.
Better than the Raiders.
And by the way, the Raiders almost puked all over themselves and almost lost that game. Anyway, but the Chiefs are going to win by more.
I'd say, well, that's not going to happen with Patrick Mahomes and company.
Patrick Mahomes is going to cover by himself. Let's put it that way.
All right, let's talk about Monday Night Football. We talk about how the Packers were the biggest disappointment of Week 1. They are going back home to Green Bay, and they are taking on the Detroit Lions.
What the hell with these double-digit lines? That's a third one this week.
Because when the matchups are that lopsided, of course.
So, let me ask you guys: do you think the Packers are going to have some fire under them and end up blowing out the Lions completely? Is there a chance maybe we have 0-2 Packers?
No, they're not going to go 0-2.
No, I don't think they'll blow out the Lions, but I do think they'll win.
Yeah, I think they'll win, but I think it's only going to be by a touchdown or so, and I think they're going to play to the point where, again, we're going to have to question this team.
Aaron Rodgers showed his true colors in that first opening day game, to be quite honest. He doesn't want to be there anymore. Yeah. He doesn't want to be there anymore. He proved it by the way he played.
Well, I'm not even just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Jones, probably one of the biggest disappointments of fantasy Week 1, just did not rush for anything. The Saints ate that team up.
I'm just tired of hearing this from this guy.
RELAX.
I'm tired of hearing that because you don't want to be there. Wait, let me take that back. You're very relaxed. You're so relaxed that you don't even want to be on your own team.
Aaron, it's not too late to jump to Jeopardy.
I'm just saying.
For this season it is. They already named 2 hosts, but that's neither here nor there.
But it could always be a retirement at the end of this season and could go back to hosting next season.
Do you really think he's giving up $20 million?
I mean, it seems pretty clear he's not going to be in Green Bay after this season.
Well, agreed, for sure.
All right. The Thursday night game. Well, if you thought this week's matchup was crap, it actually is going to get even worse from here.
Oh, no.
Panthers and Texans.
There isn't even a line yet, but I can guarantee you like I said before, 70 gajillion is not a number.
I mean, I guess it comes down to, do you think Tyrod Taylor, was it just a luck in Week 1, or do you think he and the Texans actually putting up a good rhythm?
The Panthers, I don't know their defense well enough. Like, they're probably middle of the pack if I had to take a guess, right?
Actually, in the Panthers are a big question to predict at this point too, because like you said, Week 1, they were playing the Jets.
So, I don't know. I would think the line is probably going to be somewhere between 6 and 8. probably.
I think these are two teams with question marks. This is a hard game to predict at this rate. I mean, as of this day.
I'm going to say the line is somewhere between like either 5-9 or 6-10. It's going to be somewhere between there. So I think that the Panthers will win somehow. I think they'll pull this out just because I think that was luck in week 1. The Jaguars came out thinking that they were going to blow Tyrod Taylor out of the water with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence couldn't stay up on his own 2 feet.
I think it's going to be a closer game than we think.
It is going to be a closer game than we think because honestly, I like Tyrod. I think he does have skill. He always has had skill. It's just a matter of everybody else. Is everybody else going to show up to play? And I mean,
I think the Panthers win.
I do still think that the Panthers have more working parts than do the Texans.
I think the Panthers win, but only by like a field goal or something.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
It'll be close. I think it'll be, like I said, either 5 to 8 or 9 point spread somewhere in there. And I think McCaffrey is the deciding factor in that game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Actually, that's going to do it for us. That is the end of week 2.
Wow, we made it with time to spare. Look at that.
Wow.
We have, I mean, as we get closer to October, a bunch of shows are going to be announced. You heard Beyond the Bench is going to be coming. A Writer in the Woods is coming. There's a lot of other shows coming. There's a whole podcast network coming. Geez, we're building a brand. Look at that.
Where are my Lego bricks?
But
Damn it, these are Duplo. I hate Duplo.
wait,
Wait, what?
Duplo?
Duplo blocks, not Lego blocks.
What the hell's a Duplo?
You never heard of Duplo blocks?
No.
What the hell is that?
My God, I'm old. Oh, shit.
Well, you have like 2 years on us, don't you?
4 on me.
No, I have 4 years on you guys.
Well, I'm 28.
You have 2 on
Yeah,
him, 4 on me.
Yeah, I have 2 on you, 4 on him.
Oh.
So, essentially, get off my lawn!
Really? I mean, I don't know what's going on at this point. I think we just made it to the end of the show, and I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't forget. Oh, hang on 1 second. There's something I forgot to do at the beginning that I should have done here. That I'm going to do here. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And make sure when you hit subscribe to ring that bell. So that way you get notifications for all of our videos.
Ring that bell!
A Rider in the Woods coming in October.
Yeah.
Speaking of ring the bell.
Ring the bell. There's a lot of podcasts coming. The Empty the Bench podcast network is coming.
Make sure to hit the subscribe button here on YouTube again. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ETB Sports. Our individual Twitters you see scrolling right now on the bottom of your screen. And that's going to do it for us. So, for Nick Fodera, for Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next time here on Empty the Bench. Until then, take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.
I hate you. Get the out of here.